Right, so here we are again. We're back looking at structured content, and in this video, I'm going to really start looking at content reuse. But before I do that, I just want to sort of revisit what we've done to these two content pages. Well, in fact, what I've done to our content page, other than moving Stuart up to the top, is it's all back how it was when we started, because this is our live site, and this is how we want it. But I just really want to highlight something here, and that's the consistent nature of the content. Notice how the image is the same size, the layout is exactly the same in every area. That's not being done by me, that's being done because what's called the transformation, i.e. the CSS and HTML that is behind this, that's laying out these documents on a single page, is of course consistent. If we look over at the team page on the IMIS Rise out of the box site, you can see how inconsistent it is after doing a few edits. So Peter's photo is extremely large, David's photo is extremely small, some of them are in different shapes. Peter's, I haven't got the text in the right spot. So the others, it's all lined up fully side by side. For some reason, this one, because I haven't done the alignment or set a property on the image correctly, it's not, the text isn't lined up properly. That's because the content is all in line and it's relying on me doing everything in order to make that content line up and make it consistent. So it's relying on the content editor spending all of their time doing that. Whereas on our site, it's in fact the underlying CMS and the web parts that are in place that are controlling the layout, and they're independent of the content. And that's another thing that we'll touch on soon. But so let's look at content reuse, and I'm going to focus on our site, and I'm going to look at my thing here. So here's my document, my image, my first name, my title, and some other things about me. I'm going to go and have a look at the blog section of our site now. So we've each got a series of blog posts that we keep up to date. Encourage you to read those, by the way. But if you look through into my blog, you'll notice something over in the right here. So as well as all the posts about that I've written recently, and then there's also some posts down here that some others have recently, or the most recent post from each of us. You'll notice this stuff about me up here. My image, my first name, my title. Right? Now, without structured content, I'd be entering that content again here. But because I've entered this content in a way that has broken up all of the elements like so, where each piece of content has been broken up into its constituent part, it means I can reuse each of those parts. So that's a very important concept, because you rarely ever want to use the entire page exactly as it was created over and over. What you want to do is use bits of the page. So for example, my image, or my first name, or my title, as are being used here. So if you flick back over there, you can see there they are. And of course, if I went and changed my image here, and we'll just turn me into Stu for a sec. We'll find Stu's photo. Say okay. We'll save and publish that. Then when I go back to the site and refresh the page, all of a sudden there's Stu's image. But of course, as you would guess too, on the team page, there's Stu's image. So I just quickly paused there and went and changed that back. So I changed my image in the content, and sure enough, there I am back there. And if you go obviously to my blog, then there I am back there. But let's think about that in terms of the unstructured content as it lives in IMIS Rise. So here's the content page for team members, and as it happens, the chair also has a blog. And what I've done is I've updated the chair's blog, and I've added some content about Peter Buchanan there. Buchanan, and I'm sure it was meant to be Backman. There you go. That's probably a good example. And so it's content there, and it's also content over here. So now, of course, if I want to go and make a change, say Peter says, you know what, I'm just not happy with that image. Well, there's no relationship between those two places. So I've now got to go and edit the content here. And grab that image and go and change it. And then I've also got to go and open the chair's blog. And then I've got to go and edit this bit of content that I added over here. And I've got to go and change that too. So you can see in this example, there's no way of reusing this content because there's no structure to it. So there's no way I can grab the piece just about Peter Backman. And you can see the kind of impact there, and it genuinely was unintentional. It's probably just my spell checker. But you can see there it is already. I've misspelt his name over here. So there's now a Peter Buchanan and a Peter Backman. And that's just an example of the kind of errors that you introduce without structured content. Now think about that in a much wider sense in terms of content that you might want to use in 10 different places over the site. It's very common that you might have, for example, this ad here that ASI have put as a sort of an example down here. Imagine if that was on every page, you're going and changing that potentially on every page.